We are Palomita Films
and Palomita Pilgrimages, and we love for you to join us on our next adventure. We started working together about 10 years ago, and our first movie was about Medjugorje.
Making that film led us to begin leading pilgrimages, and we continued doing it ever since. In 2021, Garret joined us on pilgrimage. He impressed us with his artistic talents, so we asked him to join the team.
We love taking people on holy adventures.
A lot of you have heard of Medjugorje, but if you haven't, you might be like, where in the world could this possibly be? It's a very small town, and it's located just next to Croatia in Herzegovina. So you can see like from the map, it's kind of by Italy, just across the water from there. And it's actually in former Yugoslavia, but now in this region of Herzegovina.
On June 24th, 1981, that is when Our Lady, Queen of Peace, first touched down. We actually officially celebrate the anniversary on the 25th because that's when she talked to the Visionaries. There's 6 of them, but the 24th is the first time she was on the hill. And this was a big thing because on these hills, nobody climbed them. I mean, now you hear we're always climbing the hills, but this was just like shrubs. It's just not a place to climb. And there was a woman up there with a baby. And so this really shocked these children. They were like, what's going on? During this 1981, like during this time, it was communism. So for them, they didn't even know that Our Lady could appear because for them, they prayed the rosary at home in secret. And even if a priest came, they would call him uncle. They wouldn't even say it's a priest. So this was a very big shock when she appeared, and they were like, is that the Blessed Mother? Not thinking she would ever leave heaven, never knowing about Guadalupe or Lourdes or Fatima. This was a very obscure thought.
It was 24th of June, 81. When I was coming in Medjugorje, I always was with Ivanka. And we was walking down what we're calling now Apparition Hill. And she tell me, I think that Blessed Mary is on the hill. For me, really, this is not possible because I never heard about Lourdes, about Fatima. I never heard that Blessed Mary can appear. I said to her, maybe I did in a little rude way, I say, yes, Blessed Mary, she don't have anything another to do, and she comes to 2 of us. I leave her, but I feel in me so strong feeling. I never feel this, something really strange, and I need to return. Nothing will stop me. And when I returned, she said to me, look at now, please. And I saw on the hill a woman with a long dress taking like this baby in the hands. Everything was really strange because nobody walk on the hill, no path.
So this is an apparition of Visionary Marian. And you'll see the text on the side. That's what Our Lady is saying to Marian.
It was like felt all the blood was rushing out of my body. Like it was so crazy. I was just like.
When she looking you have everything. I think that people in the heaven feel like this. And you can imagine how I feel when she leave me. I don't have any pain big like this that I can say like this I feel.
There are 6 alleged visionaries in Medjugorje: Mariana solo, Vitska, Ivanka, Yakov, Ivan, and Maria. They all currently still live in Medjugorje. Ivan, he lives half the year in Boston, half the year in Medjugorje. And Maria, on the far right there, she lives like half the year in Italy and half the year in Medjugorje. Now, Our Lady has given each of them a specific prayer mission. Mariana is to pray for non-believers. Vitska is to pray for the sick. Ivanka is to pray for families. Yakov's to pray for the sick. Ivan's to pray for priests and the youth. And Maria is to pray for the souls in purgatory. Now, a lot of people ask, why haven't any of them become priests or nuns? If you see the Virgin Mary, wouldn't you want to give your whole life up, for that purpose? But Mariana, in her book, she said, Our Lady said, follow your hearts. She said, it is up to you to decide if you enter the religious life. Then I wish for it to be visible that I was with you. And if you decide to have families, then I wish for your family to be an example to other families. This was one of the rare moments when Our Lady gave us advice of a personal nature, but it's clear in her words that she was careful to respect our free will, which is one of God's most wonderful gifts. Our Lady reminds us that prayer and fasting can help us make the best decisions. Ivan, he actually entered the seminary twice, but it just didn't work out. He just didn't feel fully called to that life. They're all married, they all have children, and I think it's beautiful that we're there and we get to see Mariana all the time talk with pilgrims, and she's able to relate to them, about having kids and being married and the struggles that comes with, daily life. Where, if they were a priest or nun, maybe they wouldn't be able to relate in a way that a mother or a spouse would.
In the summer of 1981, 6 children saw a mysteriously beautiful woman on a hill. She came to tell the world that God exists. When the apparitions began, Yakov was 10 years old, Ivanka was 15 years old, Mariana, Vitska, Maria, and Ivan were all 16 years old.
From the beginning, the children faced rigorous interrogations by police and examinations by physicians, psychiatrists, scientists, and priests.
The Visionaries underwent extensive neurological and physical testing.
Maria is now entering the ecstatic state.
Their eyes reacted as if they were looking at a powerful light.
Ivan's heartbeat increased by 30% at the moment he went into ecstasy.
The children were submitted to new medical and psychological tests.
All these tests enabled us to conclude that the Visionaries could by no means reach that state through their own strength.
They were found to be healthy and sane. The results also suggested that the children could not be deliberately lying.
They are not dreamers or delirious. The Visionaries are faced with an entity which we cannot define.
I'm the person who never want to go to medical. And I always was ready to do everything what they want. We was have psychiatrists, psychologists, heart, brave, everything. And I said that we are normal children.
How likely is it that they could maintain a fabrication over 34 years?
They have never wavered in their belief that they are being visited by the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Out of the 6 visionaries, who's still seeing Our Lady and who isn't? 3 still see her daily at 6:40 Medjugorje time. And then 3 see her once a year. Mariana only sees her on March 18th. Yakov sees her on Christmas Day, and when she appears on Christmas Day, she actually brings baby Jesus with her. Ivanka, she sees her on June 25th, the anniversary of the apparitions. And then Vitska, Ivan, and Maria, they have their daily apparitions. Maria gets a message every 25th of the month for the entire world.
Back to communism. I just thought it was really important to share that it was really hard for them to share their faith, and as this happened, their families were attacked and they were interrogated, and it wasn't pretty. And actually Mariana talks a little bit about it in her book. It was just really hard for them being like more sheltered in their faith, and when all of these pilgrims started coming, and even their parents would like to be taken in, and it was a lot of fear. But Mariana talks about how she never was scared because she thought, even if they kill me or whatever, she gets to go with our Blessed Mother. So she just felt like, what could she be scared of? The thing that bothered her was like when they would like attack her family or, people that were her friends. But this was a time of communism, and a lot of attention was coming towards Medjugorje.
So why did Our Lady choose Medjugorje? Why did she choose to appear there? So the Visionaries, they actually asked her in the early days why, and she said that she looked over the whole world in Medjugorje. They chose their faith over fear. You know, communism was so strong there, but they chose to hang on to their faith. And for that reason, that's why Our Lady chose Medjugorje.
I want that you never know how it is to live in communism. If you're talking about Holy Mass, about prayer, you are enemy of the Yugoslavia. God in Yugoslavia don't exist.
The village was under the strict rule of communism, and the 6 children were enemies of the state.
Bila molitva zahvale v tjeskove I iz tjeskove, ali Bog je uslišao, to znam. Tada sam čuo glas koji mi je kazao, idi I zaštiti djecu.
Father Jozo went to the door of the church to find the children pleading with him to hide them.
Father Jozo soon became the young Visionaries' defender. Later, Father Jozo actually went to jail for years for just preaching about God, and also they wanted to like stop all the people from coming, but it didn't stop it, it just made it crazier. So this is a little bit of the history of what Medjugorje has gone through in relation to the Vatican.
In the early days, Pope John Paul II, he believed right away. He was a huge supporter of Medjugorje. He actually said, you know, Medjugorje is hope for the entire world. And he met with, I believe, all of the Visionaries, and specifically Mariana. He told her, protect Medjugorje, you know. And if I wasn't Pope, I would be in Medjugorje. And it's sad because he was never able to go to Medjugorje just because of church politics and, you know. But when he passed away, his secretary brought his shoes to Medjugorje and actually placed them by Mariana while she was in apparition, because he said, I want my feet, my shoes to be on the ground there. And she actually has a pair of his shoes at her house, which is really cool to see. And then in 2010, Pope Benedict, he established the Roini Commission to investigate Medjugorje, and they withheld the results from that for years.
In 2017, when we were there, it was really exciting because Pope Francis actually sent Archbishop Henryk Kozer, and he's this really cute little Polish man. And he loved being in Medjugorje. He was like with the pilgrims. He was just very excited to get to be there and be the representative from the Vatican. And then he passed away, and we were like, who are they going to send? And then they sent Cavalli, who he's always talking to pilgrims. Actually, while we're on pilgrimage, sometimes he'll give a talk. But he just had a beautiful interview that we loved, and we shared it on our page about Medjugorje and how everybody should go there. Because it is a place full of grace. So it's really beautiful, like, I think just what the steps that the Vatican has made. But a big thing for like us, like Jess and I, whenever they green-lighted Medjugorje, which we're gonna talk more about, we never thought that we would be alive when they would approve Medjugorje. Like, we thought Our Lady of Guadalupe took 100 years after. Like, we were like, we just were okay with it. So last year when they green-lighted, it just really shook us. Like, we were like, what? And now we're just so excited. We want to be more out there about Medjugorje.
So I do feel like there's a lot of confusion around Medjugorje and whether or not it's approved. It's confusing because it was never condemned, but because it was ongoing, the Vatican could never rule about it. And so they were always kind of like, we have no stance. It's not condemned, it's not approved. We just don't know because they can't rule on it until it's finished. In the last couple of years, they actually reframed how they do approvals for private revelation like this. They have a whole new system. And so you're never required by the church, you have never been required by the church to believe in private revelation. It's always just sort of like they say, we approve of this and you can have a devotion to it, but it's never required belief. And so then in the past, things like Lourdes and Fatima, they will say, yes, we believe a supernatural event is occurring and a devotion is approved. But what they have now they've created a new framework that essentially is never going to rule on whether or not they believe something is supernatural, but they will say everything that has come out of this place is completely in line with the church and church doctrine, and nothing is contrary to our faith. And so after that ruling was changed, the way that they decide these things, this past September they actually came out with the ruling that Medjugorje has the nihil obstat, which means it is fully in line with church teaching. There's actually, I think, 6 levels, and it has the highest level. There is nothing that is against church teaching. And so they went through all of the messages, they went through everything that has come out of that place, and they've said that this is in line with church teaching, and we approve of your devotion to it, and we approve if you would like to go there. So it was just this really beautiful, I mean, like Cimela said, this thing we never thought we would see. Because they've reframed everything. So now since this past September, it has the highest level of approval that you can get for any private revelation through the Vatican. And what's cool now is that we still get messages from Medjugorje. Like, for example, we will get one today. Maria will have a vision and she will receive a message today. It will go through the Vatican and they will look through it, and then we have a little tag underneath that says with ecclesiastical approval for every message that goes out now. There are a lot of major places that every pilgrim in Medjugorje today visits, and this is a lot of what it looks like now when you visit. So the 3 major places that everyone goes are obviously the church, Apparition Hill, and Cross Mountain. And one really interesting thing about these places is that they all form an equidistant triangle from the town, and everybody walks there, so it's about a 20-minute walk between each location. St. James is the center of the town. It's the heart of all of Medjugorje, and every evening, every pilgrim and many locals gather for Mass at the evening prayer program here at St. James Church. And then about a 20-minute walk away is the hill where they first saw Our Lady, and you can climb up, many pilgrims climb up there now. They have a statue there where she first appeared. And then about 20 minutes walk from that is Cross Mountain, and what's very interesting is that cross actually predates all of this. The locals had built that cross on that hill before any of this ever happened.
And a fun fact about each of these. St. James, he's actually the patron saint of pilgrims. And nobody knew that Medjugorje was going to become this massive pilgrimage place. And another cool thing about St. James, he's the first apostle that Our Lady, she actually bilocated him. So Our Lady of the Pillar, that's the very first church recorded apparition of Our Lady. So it's neat that, Medjugorje's taking place with St. James is one of the patron pilgrims there. Apparition Hill, where the statue is there, you can see. The Visionaries have said when the apparitions end, Our Lady is going to leave a permanent sign on that spot, that location. Kind of like Guadalupe, Lourdes, Our Lady has left a miraculous sign to prove of her presence. Cross Mountain, as Jessi said, it predates the apparitions. It was built in 1933, the year the Jubilee of the Cross. They got the relic of the true cross, and it's actually inside there. And there's been many miracles attributed to praying up there.
The Blue Cross, this is at the base of Apparition Hill, so sometimes people are worried they can't climb up, but this is at the very bottom of the hill, and it has a blue cross, and it's where Marian would have her second of the month apparition. So we filmed a lot of those, and it's a very special place for me because of just the memories of people camping out all night. The night before, the very first apparition I camped out at was June 2015.
I got here at 6 p.m. and it's now 9:30. At 8 a.m. then Mary's gonna come and make an appearance here.
And it was just a night of praying in different languages. I heard so many languages praying the rosary. I made friends on the hill. It was just so exciting, and I was not knowing for sure what was gonna happen. I was also a little bit skeptical. I knew that I had to experience it for myself. And the next morning, it was like 8:30, Marian comes up, and just a little bit more about Marian. She's an introvert. She's like us, we're introverts. We don't love crowds, but because her mission is for non-believers, which she says Our Lady has never said non-believer, because that is almost judging someone. She says those who haven't felt God's love. And these people could be in the church, they could be anywhere. It could be us. But she makes a big effort to go to this hill to have a public apparition, because all these people from all over the world are coming in prayer and just they have a desperate prayer. And so to be there and camp out on the hill, Melissa camped out, Jessi and I camped out so many times. My mom, she has a great story about it, but it was just a beautiful thing. And so for me, the Blue Cross is a very special place, and you don't have to go all the way up. It's just right at the base of the hill, and many healings have happened here.
Behind the church, there's this statue called the Risen Christ statue, and it was put there in 1998, and it was just a spot where pilgrims could go and pray in silence. And then in 2002, while pilgrims were praying there, it started weeping out of the right knee in 2 spots. And you can see in this video here that I took, you can see the 2 streams of water coming down. And people will get little napkins and they'll collect the water and take it back to family members that are sick, or they'll bless themselves with the water. And it drips liquid even when it's freezing outside. There are some times where it will stop, but it's been going on since 2002, and some scientists have looked at it and they said there's no explanation for it. And they've actually studied the liquid, and it's the same consistency as human tears.
These are just 3 other places that we always take our pilgrims. There's a beautiful rehabilitation center where we hear testimonies from men who have gone through this program that they have in Medjugorje. And then a religious community that's very close to the hotel where we always stay that now has adoration, which is beautiful. You can easily walk there like 5 minutes from our house. And then we always go to Mother's Village, which is the local orphanage. They have a little private chapel there where we always have mass, and then we hear some more historical information from our local guide.
The 5 stones of Medjugorje. Our Lady has been giving messages there for 44 years now. The original parish priest there, after looking through all her messages, he said, Our Lady keeps repeating the same 5 things, and they are daily Bible reading, receiving the Eucharist, going to Mass, confession at least once a month, prayer, and fasting on bread and water on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I'll tell you, the people in Medjugorje, they take all of these very serious, especially fasting. We're very weak on fasting here in the United States, but they go hardcore. Our Lady, she keeps repeating to practice these 5 things. She said, these are weapons against Satan.
They are hardcore in Medjugorje, but I want to point out that even Mariana herself, the visionary, will tell you to start small. She said, do not, if you ever try any of this, don't go immediately tomorrow only eating bread and drinking water. Start very small. Even when Our Lady first came to them, she never asked them to pray the rosary daily. She actually would just pray with them this very shortened version called a peace rosary. They begin with that, and it's much smaller and much shorter, and then kind of working your way up.
A really quick miracle that just happened to us by fasting is we didn't have any pilgrims sign up for the first March trip, and it was already at the beginning of January. But my mom and us, we all were like, let's just fast. So we did, and we have 40 pilgrims right now, so thank you, Blessed Mother. This is one of my favorite fruits in Medjugorje that I just wanted to share with you. Magnus was a young teenager from Scotland. I circled him up above, and look, he gets to witness an apparition when he's 15 years old. His sister reads about it in the newspaper, and she's like, we're going. And so I think they drive over from Scotland, road trip, and then he had such a profound experience there that his faith just grew. And he talks about this a lot in his testimonies. But today, he has a charity called Mary's Meals, and he says it's a fruit of Medjugorje, and it feeds 2.5 million children every day, every school day. And we've, gotten to know Magnus over the years. We see him in Medjugorje, and we see him at other conferences speaking. But I got to go to Haiti with him to see Mary's Meals in action. We just always want people to know there's so many great things coming out of Medjugorje, and this is one of our favorites. This is just an example itinerary of a day on pilgrimage, and we sometimes climb at 5 a.m. across the mountain. It always depends on the weather, so if it's really hot in the summers, we'll obviously get up really early to climb. But one story about a cross mountain climb, because people are always nervous about climbing. It takes about 2 hours to climb. We go very slow because we're doing the Stations of the Cross. So you can see like a picture of one of the stations here. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole pilgrimage because of just like the reflections going up. And I remember during Lent one time I was in Medjugorje, and it just took the Stations of the Cross to a whole other level to climb the stations. And one time I was with the pilgrims, and there was a couple, and they kind of went off into the shrubs. Like right when we were almost at the top, we were like 12th station up, and they go in the shrubs, and I'm thinking maybe they had to pee, I don't know. But we always wait for all the pilgrims to come together, and so I was like, Mickey kept being like, that's our local guide, he kept being like, Cimela, where are they? And then I go, hey, Len, are you guys okay? And he goes, my leg popped off. I didn't even know he had a fake leg. I didn't know because he walked pretty well in it. So his leg pops off, he doesn't have his tools, and so he's one-legged up there, and he's like, I have to go down. And I was like, no, you have to go up and then down the back way. And so he makes it up with one leg, the next 2 stations, and all the way down with one leg. And obviously Mickey helped him, and like he put his arm around Mickey. But just so you know, you can go up even with one leg.
So I just want to say something. When you go there, and we've been talking about this a lot, about like, what is this experience? And so we've been talking with the priest, and we've really been like thinking about leisure and like what true leisure is. And we talk about how, on the 7th day, God rested, and like, what does true rest mean? And so one of the coolest things about Medjugorje, and as we've taken priests, if you go on other pilgrimage, every pilgrimage is different. But the neat thing is that you're in one place. There's not like, I'm living out of a suitcase and we got to go to the next place. There's no sightseeing. It's like I'm waking up and I'm enjoying each other's company. And in that community, like the Holy Spirit's working, just like this openness happens. And then like true leisure and rest. And in that leisure and rest and that removal from all these like to-do things, like beautiful things happen in your heart, that you were like, you've given this space for God to work in there and the Blessed Mother to work in there. And so when I go there, it's kind of like going to grandma's house, where you're just like, I'm gonna go visit my grandma, and I'm just here to hang out with my grandma or like my family, and there's like nothing on the agenda except for like to hang out and to just like be. It's like where you can be still. But it's so cool because we were reading that be still in Hebrew actually means let go. So you kind of just like let go, and then just like that generosity of letting go, God will do like so many things there in that time. And I just really like appreciate just like the being able to really just like be in one spot, and then just let that wave of the energy of like all the graces just kind of wash over you. I'm not saying we've been to the Holy Land, we've been to all these places, and they're awesome, they're all different, but this is a very unique space where it's just like you're resting, and it's true leisure where like, yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Holy Spirit working through my sister. We do, I think that's why so many people come back. Like, obviously we've been going back, and you could say it's our job, but we love it, and people come back with us, and it's not like a once and done. It's a very much like you want that leisure. You want how Our Lady has created this evening prayer program. She's the one who set it up for the village. It's just a treat. It's a gift.
So in the early days of the apparitions, the messages were just for the villagers there. Our Lady said, I want to form you. I want to lead this parish because the world is going to come here. And you see, like today, she's going to give a message for the entire world. So it's really cool. You can see the picture of all those thousands of people in the back there. It seats like 10,000 people. And there's even people back behind the trees and in the trees there. It's amazing to see what Our Lady has done since 1981 there.
It's a confessional of the world. They have confessions in every language, and they have a little nameplate of like what language you can go confess in. For me, Medjugorje helped me just fall in love with confession. I feel like that's where all my biggest healings happened, and it is beautiful to go once a month, and people come here and they haven't gone to confession in 40 years, and they go and it just changes their lives.
I wanted to know if anybody who's been to Medjugorje could come and share.
yes, come. Obviously during COVID, there was a pause where we couldn't go. And I love so much because we were the first American pilgrims who came back, and we'll never forget that.
In fact, we were on Croatian national TV.
Yes.
Okay, so I was a cradle Catholic, but I was 50 years old and I didn't understand Mary. I had no idea who she was. My wife is not a cradle Catholic. She grew up Baptist. And a friend of ours recommended this book to her. But she finishes the book, and one night at the dinner table, she says, I need to go to Medjugorje. And of course, my reaction is, what's Medjugorje? So I look it up, and I say, okay, this is a former communist country deep in Eastern Europe. You're not going without me. And we're not leaving Lily home, so the family apparently is going to this place, Medjugorje. The first time that we went, "16 miracles happened to my little family. It doesn't count all the miracles that we saw happen to other people." I've prayed the rosary with this young woman in 7 different languages at 5 o'clock in the morning, hiking up and down hills that in the United States would have a skull and crossbones at the bottom saying advanced hikers only. I know she said it's easy, and it really is. It's one of the miracles of Medjugorje is millions of people go up and down these hills and never get hurt. She brought me to find my mother, who led me to the fullness of truth. I used to believe in all the things that the church teaches. I no longer believe. Now I know deep down in my soul, as well as I know that my blood is flowing and my heart is beating, that it's all true. And she's been there with me ever since that day, ever since that first trip. It's just a beautiful place. Anyway, I really encourage you to give it a chance. Oh, thank you, my friend, my dear friend.
One man was very upset. I never saw someone so upset. So my sister was there too. So we saw him in confession. And he was just going crazy, like, the lines are so, and he was very upset. I mean, the poor guy was totally insane. And my sister and I, we went on our knees and we prayed for him. And then suddenly one door opened and he said, "Who wants to come here?" And someone grabbed him and pushed him in the confessionary. So he got inside there and we wanted to wait until he finished, okay? We waited 15 minutes. We waited 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then I told my sister, I think he left and we don't even know. We probably were with our closed eyes and we didn't see him leaving. And I said, maybe we leave, Sandra. I don't think he's here. So suddenly he got out after 50 minutes in the confessionary. And you can see it was like floating. Like he was walking so calm. Not the man he went inside there. Confession, I saw it with my own eyes. It can change your brain can go from one angle to another, right? Totally.
Marisol goes with us every March, so it's so beautiful. Like, she's coming this March with us, and she's like, our Medjugorje family is here.
This will be my 9th year going. What I received from being in the presence of Our Lady during an apparition is just being clothed in her love, in her embrace, and feeling that love and building that relationship that I never knew I could have. I've had a lot of experiences in Medjugorje, a lot of blessings and graces. Feeling God's love and how much He loves me. And it's almost a feeling of, it's a feeling from your head down to your toes, all through your body, and it's a sense of wanting, like a sense of an explosion. Like you can't contain it. His love is so great. I mean, I've seen the miracles, the miracle of the sun, I've seen all those things, but the main miracle is the Mass and receiving Jesus in the Eucharist and really feeling him within yourself, which I finally got to receive Jesus last year, which, by the way, my husband and I got married May 13th, which is the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima, at 3 o'clock, the hour of mercy. And so, I mean, my life has changed from 10 years ago to now. It's just been a whole different, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Nice. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Okay, so the timing of like, how does it happen that every day? Like that's always like something that's interesting. Like, can you speak to that?
With
Like
the
how
apparitions?
like how it's scheduled and like why and
Yes, that's a good question.
So the 3 visionaries that see her every day, this year at 6:40, I've asked Marian before, why is Our Lady appearing every single day for the past 44 years? And she said, well, in time, everyone will realize why she's chosen to stay this long. And in Our Lady's messages, she said it's through God's grace that he's allowing her to continue to appear. And I think personally it's because, you know, the world's crazy, the state of the world, and we're being influenced by so many different things. There's so many influencers now, and Our Lady is trying to remind us, giving us these messages. She's the real influencer we need. But so these apparitions have been going on for 44 years, but the longest Marian apparitions, I believe, in the Catholic Church were 54, and that was in France. So
It's kind of a cute analogy that I always love. Our local guide always mentions that, you know, people are like, she's coming every day and she's saying the same things. Like, she's never saying anything new. She's really repeating herself. Pray with your heart, pray for your shepherds. She says the same. There's nothing new in any of the messages. And our local guide always likes to say, when you were a kid, how often did your mom tell you to clean your room? And like, did you listen? Did you do it? Did she have to keep reminding you maybe 6 times? Did she say the same thing over and over? And you're like, I get it, Mom. But it's so sweet because she's so gentle, you know, like just like the best mother. And the timing thing, you know, that she comes at like 6:40. They've said before, like, it's not her. She exists outside of time now, but she comes for us. It's like it's a gift to us that we know the timing that she's coming.
And the visionaries have said during an apparition, time doesn't matter. They have no clue. They can't remember how long it's even been going on. I know I was in an apparition with Yvonne, and the apparition might have lasted like 5 minutes. He said it felt like I was in apparition with her for 8 hours. We're praying for the Pope, the Bishop, people, all the people from Medjugorje. He's like, you know, we're just talking. And another thing people are saying, why is she appearing every day? What's she have to tell them every single day? These are prayer meetings. She's not necessarily giving them a message every day. They're praying. And I think that's really important. You know, a lot of people think, oh, she's giving all these messages every single day. But they're really prayer meetings. And today we get a message.
Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, our Blessed Mother, for bringing you each here to hear about her love.
You can learn more about Palomita Films at palomitafilms.com and by following our social media pages.
Subscribe for more videos about the holy places we visit. And don't forget the popcorn.